So next week up, we've got Singwei Lim, and she's been looking at the effect of charged biochar and compost tea on plant growth of sunflower. So Jared's already prepped you, Singwei.
Hi everyone, I'm Singwei, and today I'm going to talk about the effect of charged biochar and compost tea on plant growth of sunflower. First, I would like to talk about the research questions of my project. Number 1, does charged biochar improve plant growth? Number 2, does compost tea help increase plant growth? And the last one, does biochar improve soil water retention? So what is biochar? Biochar is a black carbon-rich solid produced by heating biomass under conditions of no oxygen, which is known as pyrolysis. And biochar can be produced by a range of biomass, such as forest and agricultural waste. And biochar can be charged with or inoculate with manuals, compost, or liquid fertilizer to produce a range of nutrients or water to the plant. And what is compost tea? Compost tea is a liquid produced by fermenting and steeping compost in aerated and non-aerated water for a defined durations of time. And compost tea can be applied either by foliar spray or directly to soil. So move on to the experimental design. A total of 12 treatments were set up as 3-way factorial design in glasshouse with 3 biochar treatment, no biochar, clean biochar, and nutrient-charged biochar, and 2 compost tea treatment with and without the biochar, with the compost tea, and 2 soil type, sandy loam and clay loam. So each treatment will be replicated for 6 times, which given a total 72 pots. To make up the compost tea, prior to additions of other ingredients, 200 liters of drum was filled with water and left for 24 hours to allow the chlorine to dissipate, and the compost will then place in a sack and suspend in water. The soluble seaweed extract and the molasses will then act as a food source for the microbe. An aquarium pump and 2 acetone will be used to aerate the compost tea while it was brewing. And the compost tea will be applied weekly at the rate of 150 millimeter per pot to compost tea treatment and 150 millimeter of tap water to the non-compost tea treatment. And all the plant will be fertilized with hot glen solution through automated drip irrigation system and will be irrigated twice a day. So the sunflower seed will be planted in a seed raising mix in seedling tray for 2 weeks and will transplant into a pot. And the plant height, node number, chlorophyll contents, flower numbers will be measured and recorded fortnight. And the other rest like leaf flower, leaf area, weight of flower, shoot, root, carbon and nutrients in soil, soil moisture and soil temperature will be measured at the end of the trial when the plant was harvested. So this is the table shows significance level for the main effect for soil, biochar, and compost tea and their interactions. The 3 star means that the effect was highly significant. So we can see that the biochar was highly significant in all the treatments, while compost tea has no effect on the soil parameter measure, and the levels of the significance of the plant characteristic was lower than biochar. So the carbon contents in the clay loam soil was nearly 5 times in the sandy loam, and the graph on the right shows that both biochar treatment increased the soil carbon content as would be expected, as biochar is very high in carbon content. And it is difficult to explain why the clean biochar result in a higher carbon content than the charged biochar. So for the soil nitrogen, clay loam has a high soil nitrogen than sandy loam, this is not, this is not surprise, as clay loam has a high levels of cation exchange capacity than sandy loam and able to store the nutrients. While the biochar also has increased the soil nitrogens compared with no biochar treatment. So for the soil moisture, so the clay loam also increased the levels of soil moisture than sandy loam. And for the biochar also increased the soil moisture than compared to the non-biochar. So this was not surprise because clay and biochar are able to retain water. So for the soil temperature, sandy loam has higher temperature than clay loam, and the biochar has reduced the soil temperature. This may be due to the highest soil moisture levels in this treatment, which described as in the previous slide. And for the plant, move on to the plant. Addition of compost tea result in increase in the plant height, and the applications of the biochar also increase in the plant height. So for the leaf area, addition of compost tea have a greater leaf area than no compost tea. And looking for the effect of the biochar, both biochar has increased the leaf area compared with no biochar, but there was no difference between the two biochar treatment. So there's the interactions between the soil type and the compost tea. The treatment with compost tea has increased the leaf area in sandy loam, but there's no effect on clay loam. So clay soil has a better nutrients such as carbon, nitrogen, and soil moisture than sandy loam. So this is because clay soil has a large surface and high water holding capacity, while the sandy soil has a lower surface area and are relatively ineffective at storing water and nutrients. So the non-biochar treatment has the lowest carbon content. This is due to the biochar is very high in carbon. And the biochar was increased the water retentions due to its ability to store water within the pore, and these chemical reactions of the biochar reduce the nutrient loss by leaching and runoff, which allowed the nutrients and the water to be fully utilized by the plant. So for the no biochar treatment, it shows that it has a lower plant growth and leaf area. This may be due to the biochar has a lot of micropores and large surface area that can store water. And compost tea treatment has better plant growth than no compost tea treatment. So this is made due to the compost tea has the extra nutrients and beneficial microorganisms which promote a complete soil food web that beneficial to plant. In summary, biochar improves soil water retention due to its ability to store the water and nutrients in the pore. Biochar improves the plant growth, but there's no difference between the clean and charged biochar. This may be due to the irregular irrigations and cause a different amount of nutrients added into the plant. And last, the compost tea has increased the plant growth. This may be due to the compost tea have extra nutrients and the beneficial microorganism. Last, I would like to thank to the following people who provide me with their assistance to complete my honors project.
That's great. Thanks, Singwei. Has anybody got any questions? So what Kathy's asking Singwei is around how did she decide how to make the compost tea? There's lots of different ways of doing it, but she did it in a particular way. So how did she come to that conclusion?
For the compost tea, I chose the aerated compost tea because it has oxygen inside, so you will apply the oxygen to the microbe, so you will give give a life to the microbe. So compare with the non-aerated, so it have no oxygen inside. So it will use all the nutrients inside the compost, I mean the microorganism. Will use the nutrients in the compost and oxygen, so which cause a lower quality of compost tea.
So what Sergey's asking, Singwei, is when you measured the concentration of nitrogen in the soil, what measurement of nitrogen was that? So was that total nitrogen? Was that exchangeable nitrogen? Was that nitrogen from the soil water? Which measurement was it?
Oh, this is the total nitrogen. Yeah.
So, well, I guess I'll use my privilege. I guess I'll ask a very similar question to what I asked Jared. So, in terms of compost tea and or biochar, what do you sort of envisage, what kind of systems do you envisage using these kind of technologies?
Yeah, same as Jared said, in the sandy soil, mostly, like you can see in my research, in my result, all is like sandy soil has a better benefits on biochar and the compost tea. For nutrient soil.
So as a follow-up question, I would also ask, sort of, how do your results really compare to the body of literature? Are they very similar? Are they very different?
Yeah, quite similar, but just the compost tea, because it's just not really high significance, just low significance, but quite similar for the biochar.
Okay. Awesome. Okay. Is anybody else got any? We go. Great. Awesome. Thanks very much. We'll let you go.